to spend time with us in conversation. I know that we were running about 15 minutes later than we wanted to, but we're glad that you're able to spend some time with us.
I just want to say in advance, I have to go to another event still. I have to go to a fundraiser, so I can't spend more than a half hour.
All right, well, we'll see what we can do in a half hour. I think you already know that what the corridor is. It's not really 65 days old, and in that time, people have come together to try and bring collective thoughts and action together to find out and do what we think is in the best interest of the community. And that's the only basis for us to exist and to continue to work on issues, not just campaigns, but issues that relate to what's in the best interest of the community. So with that background, why don't we give you a couple of minutes so we can try and get to some questions with you and be in conversation with you. And if you could you answer the questions as succinctly as you can, within reason, and we'll try and do the same in terms of our questions.
Just so that we know how much time you have, so what time would you do you need to be out of here by?
I'd like to, it starts at 9. I should probably be there by like 9:30, 9:45, and it's in Old Westbury.
So leave here at 9:20?
Yeah.
Okay.
What time is it now?
8:53.
Okay, yeah. So I think that the corridor has done a very effective job in bringing attention to issues that exist in the community, and I think that it was very effective during the Haber campaign, and continues to be effective, and it demands that we who are running for office be responsive to the concerns of the community, and I'm trying to demonstrate not only my past record of being responsive, but to do an even better job in the future, be more responsive in the future. And I've laid out a platform for the community that addresses issues like troubled school districts, even though the county doesn't run the school districts, that addresses development in corridor communities as well as other communities in the county, that addresses issues like gun violence and crime and incarceration, and addresses some of the specific issues that come to my attention that you're concerned about, and probably will be some of the questions you asked me about tonight. So I think that's the main thing I wanted to say.
As you know, we're extremely passionate about youth services, and for the last 12 years, nonprofits have struggled in this community and a number of other communities. Youth services, for some reason, always seems to be on the chopping block, and clearly a couple of years ago, they gutted the system, and magically during an election year, the Democrats and Mangano's office were able to work on full restoration. What kind of commitment can you make to this body? And I've asked you this a number of different occasions, and I know you keep saying you can't make any promises, but what kind of a commitment can we get from you saying that a Suozzi administration will not cut youth services or put youth services on the chopping block? Furthermore, how can we make it where youth services are mandated instead of discretionary? Like, are you willing to work towards some sort of a solution?
Yeah, so I've committed already that I will make sure that youth services are fully funded as they were in the past, that the red light camera money will be dedicated towards youth and other social services within 1 year of my first term in office, and my record demonstrates that I never cut youth services. I did say that we would have to cut youth services as well as other programs if we didn't get the red light cameras, because we were being held up in Albany, and we needed to show the folks in Albany that we were in serious trouble and we needed their help when they were not giving us red light cameras. Remember, New York City had red light cameras, and we were being held up actually by an assemblyman in Rochester who was not giving us the red light cameras, and we said if we don't get this, we have to cut these programs, and there was other things as well, not just youth services, other programs as well. And it was an effective vehicle in getting their attention in the Democratic Assembly, and we made it a bargain that the red light camera money would be dedicated towards youth and other social services. Mangano did that bargain, and I will institute that bargain, that those funds be dedicated towards youth and other social services.
Donna, do you want to follow up on that?
Good afternoon, good evening. Do you have a plan to ensure specific protections which are articulated in policy, practice, and possible legislation for the protection of health and human service agencies. These organizations that operate within the corridor. The agencies have an annual budget of less than $500,000, and we believe that, and we hope that you believe as well, they should never receive any funding increases less than 2%.
Well, I'm gonna commit the red light camera money to be for specific health and human service programs. I'm not gonna say specifically which programs are getting what amount of money and how much of an increase they'll get. But I'm committed to having funds dedicated towards those services on a going forward basis. So I'm not sure I understand the whole $500,000 thing.
Those are agencies, smaller agencies who do a tremendous amount of the work in the corridor, helping many of the families that are impacted by some of the ills in the corridor. What we're asking is, do you have a plan to ensure that these agencies will receive no less than 2% in increased funding, and also a plan to make sure that they can continue to do the work?
For specific agencies, I can't make commitments to specific agencies that they're going to get a specific amount of increase, but I'm committed towards making sure that these agencies continue to operate and provide the services that are necessary. It's a very important part of my life in public service, and will continue to be an important part of my life in public service. I don't want to give long answers because I know you want short answers, Fred, but I mean, I started the No Wrong Door program when I was in office, and it was really recognized by a lot of experts nationally as being a model for trying to help address problems that exist. By taking 8 agencies that were formerly in 5 locations and putting them in 1 location, and whenever a case would come up, to try and look at it holistically, so that if someone was coming for a Medicaid application or for a transfer payment, that we also looked at, was there a social service need other than, like a veteran, or a physical challenge, or a mental health issue, or a drug and alcohol issue, or some other issue that was contributing to the circumstances the person was in. And I want to expand upon that. And my school program is really the thing that I think is, I want to be a hallmark of my term in office, which is to try and do something similar to what we started in Roosevelt, but do it more effectively, which is to have a competition among school districts that will ask them, do you want the county to come in and provide social services or help to direct social services to the students most in need? Because when you look at test scores, children in 3rd grade have about the same test scores, whether they're in a wealthy school district or in a high-risk school district. And by 8th grade, the kids in the high-risk school district have fallen off the face of the earth, and the kids in the wealthier school districts have excelled. And a lot of that is because of the fact that there are a much larger volume of issues that children in Roosevelt are dealing with than the volume of issues that they're dealing with in the Great Neck School District. But they have the same resources. They have the same 1 guidance counselor, 1 social worker, 1 school psychologist in each building. And even though they have the same resources, the volume of problems are much greater in the high-risk school districts. So what I want to do is try and get this separate world of education more working collaboratively and interoperably with the world of health and human services. So that when a student is identified as all of a sudden he's falling asleep in class, or he's getting in a fight, or his grades are dropping off, or they're not showing up for class,